You are welcome to today's class. It's still on comprehension. Now we'll take the passage, thereafter the questions will follow. Those who have been following the argument for and against the deregulation of the oil industry in Nigeria may have got the impression that deregulation connotes lack of control or indifference on the part of the government. But there is nothing so far from official quarters to suggest that deregulation will cause the government to relinquish its control of the oil industry, because the absence of direct control does not mean that it will surrender all its rights to the entrepreneurs who may want to participate in the industry. Yet, the opposition expressed so far against the regulation stems from the fear that the government would leave Nigeria at the mercy of a heartless cartel who will command the heights of the oil industry and cause the pump price of fuel to rise above the means of most Nigerians. As a result of such fears, many Nigerians have become resentful of the regulation, and in fact, the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has threatened to deregulate the government if it should go ahead with the deregulation plan. But Nigerians have not fared any better with the economy totally in government control. Until recently, the most important sectors of the economy were in the hands of the government. Today, the regulation of some of these sectors has broken its monopoly and introduced healthy competition to make things a little easier for Nigerians. A good example is the breaking of the stifling monopoly of Nigerian Airways. Today, the traveler is king at the domestic airports as opposed to the struggle that air travels used to be under Nigerian Airways monopoly. Before, it was almost easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for travelers to board a plane. Following from this, the apostles of the regulation rightly heap all the blame for the problems associated with petroleum products distribution in this country squarely on the government, which owns all the refineries and which sells fuel to local consumers through its agency, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC). In the same way, the government argues that if the current NNPC monopoly were broken with the introduction of entrepreneurs to the refining and sale of petroleum products in the country, the Nigerian people would be all the better for it. It stands to reason that once the government continues to fix maximum prices for petroleum products in this country, the deregulation of the oil sector should bring some relief to the people by ensuring that wastage, corruption, and inefficiency are reduced to the minimum. Consumers will also have the last laugh, because competition will result in the availability of the products at reasonable prices. This appears to be the sense in deregulation. Now, we take the questions on the passage. Question 1. Which of these correctly summarizes the arguments adduced by the advocates of the regulation? Now, option A. Deregulating the economy will make the NNPC more efficient and less wasteful. Now, is that our answer? Alright. Is that our answer? We look at it. Yes, actually, the argument is that it will make the NNPC more efficient and less wasteful. But now, can you look at this? Deregulating the economy. Does the passage tell us that the economy should be deregulated? No, that is not the point. It is the deregulation of the oil industry, not the economy, the total economy. So, because of this generalization, you find that this option will not go. Remember the point we made earlier when we took the hints on comprehension, that you should be careful with generalization. So, deregulating the economy makes option A wrong. Now take option B. The government should deregulate every aspect of the Nigerian economy. Then again, you have generalization here. Now, where you have the Nigeria economy, And then of course, the worsen that will have deregulate every aspect of the Nigeria economy. So option B is totally out because the passage hasn't talked about deregulating the economy. Neither does it talk about deregulating every aspect. Now, let us look at option C. Competition in the oil industry will be beneficial to several Nigerians. Is this what the passage states? Yes. The argument of, is it what's adduced by the advocates? Yes. The argument is that there should be the regulation of the oil industry, and that when this happens, then there will be healthy competition that will bring benefits to Nigeria. So option C qualifies as the answer. Now, what about option D? Why is that wrong? Competition should be allowed in the production and distribution of petroleum industry. Now, why would this look like a likely candidate for the answer? Competition should be allowed in the production and distribution of petroleum products. Yes, that is it, but it is not what is it's not in itself. It looks like a good option too, but if you look at option C, it states why the competition be allowed. It states why competition be allowed, and it tells us it will benefit several Nigerians as stated in the passage. So option C is better than option D as an answer. So our answer remains option C. Now we'll take question number 2. Which of the following conclusions can be reached from the passage? Now we'll look at our options. A. The deregulation of the economy will solve all the problems of petroleum products. Again, you will take note of the deregulation of the economy that we talked about, that we discussed in question number 1. So that alone makes that to go away, and then again we'll solve all the problems of petroleum products distribution. The passage doesn't really state that. Of course, it will solve many problems, but whether all problems, I think that is not stated. But in any case, we have the deregulation of the economy that eliminates option A. So we'll take option B. Option B, we have the government is hell-bent on leaving Nigerians at the mercy of a heartless cartel. Now, but this is not what the passage says. There's indeed a mention of the fact that of a heartless cartel. But this is the argument of those who are engaged the deregulation of the petroleum industry. That is their argument. The writer does not agree with that, and he went ahead to explain why this is not the case, that the government will leave. Not to talk of being hell-bent, as if it is deliberate, a purpose for the government to leave Nigerians at the mercy of a heartless cartel. So we eliminate option B. Now, what about option C? Nigerians cannot buy fuel at exorbitant prices. Why the writer talks about high prices and deterring people and all of that, but the passage does not tell us that Nigerians cannot buy fuel at exorbitant prices. It hasn't stated anything like that. So that is information that is not present in the passage. So we cannot take option C as our answer. Now we'll look at option D. The deregulation of the oil industry does not preclude the government from exerting its influence. In fact, this is one of the arguments of those who are engaged in regulation, that the government will leave Nigerians in the hands of the heartless cartel. But the writer went forward to say no, that will not be the case, that government will still be able to exercise control and influence in the oil industry. So it means therefore that the regulation of the oil industry will not preclude means exclude the government, or make it not possible for the government from that is excludes the government from exerting its influence. So option D is our answer. the deregulation of the oil industry does not preclude the government from exerting its influence. That is what we can find, or the conclusion we can reach from the passage. Now, let's look at question number 3. Question number 3 is, an appropriate title for this passage is, so what title can we give to this passage? Look at option A, the advantage of a deregulated economy. You remember the point about generalization? That comes in here. This passage is not on the deregulation of the economy, but on the deregulation of the oil industry. So it won't go. Option A is out. Then option B, making a case for deregulation. Can that go? Yes, that can go. Why? Because deregulation is not specified here. So we're not saying of the economy, so it's implied. Letters the person reads, he knows that it's talking about deregulation of the oil industry. And in recent times, when one talks about deregulation, in any case, it is about the oil industry. So option B can be is our answer, making a case for deregulation. That is our answer. And if you making a case shows that this passage is argumentative. It is not descriptive, not expository, and not narrative. It's argumentative. That is why it is making a case. That expression denotes argument. Alright, so we'll now leave option B and look at option C and D and show why they do not qualify as the answer. Option C, highlighting the dangers of deregulation. This passage doesn't highlight the dangers. In fact, it plays down on them. That in fact it tells us that there's no danger. That whatever dangers that people think the regulation has are unfounded. Okay, so C is out. D, the problems of NMPC. The passage is not on the problems of NMPC, but it has to bring up some of the problems it has to make a case for deregulation. Now we can see that the reasons why option C is the answer of question number 3. Now question number 4. Which of the following statements is true according to the passage? Option A, the Nigerian Labour Congress has been able to prevent the government from deregulating the economy. Is this statement true according to the passage? No. For one reason, although the passage talks about the threat of Nigerian Labour Congress to deregulate the economy, we are not told whether it succeeded or not. So that makes option A to be wrong. One reason. Then still another thing is the usual generalization issue, deregulating the economy. This passage is not on deregulating the economy, but it insists on deregulating the oil industry. So option A is out. Now look at option B. The introduction of entrepreneurs to the oil industry will make life easy only for a few Nigerians. Now if you look at the first part, the introduction of entrepreneurs to the oil industry will make life easy. That is alright. But the remaining part, only for a few Nigerians, makes this answer to be wrong. The passage states that, or at least implies that it will make life easy for several Nigerians. We took a question like this before. Opposite. We'll look at an option opposite to this. So that shows that option B is wrong. It's not only going to be for a few Nigerians, but for several Nigerians. So we eliminate option B. Now let's look at option